Alright, testing. Subpart F, special requirements of the arch. Applicability. The requirements of the prescribed and paper of the apple with a transport package have the material of the board with cargo is required for the prescribed elsewhere with the subtrap of the vessel similar in any apply with except for the provided with the subpart of the transport package have the material on board barges. 176.96 with the material for the construction barge transport have the material for the construction steel. 176.97 the prohibition of dump scow with the dump scows of barges having the cargo comparing compartments. Hopper type fitted with the bottom of the dump of the site, dump of the type of the barge of the prohibited with the cargo over the name of the class of the head material. 176.98 is over the hazard material on the board barge of the material of which the down deck stowed only with the required with the column 10 with the hazard material table 172.101. The subchapter must be stowed under the deck unmanned bridges barges. 176.99 permanent requirements for the certain hazard. The permits required of the 176.100, 176.415 loading, unloading, handling, division 12 explosive for the material division 15 material of the ammonium nitrate for the certain ammonium nitrate meant for the fertilizer that must be obtained before the materials be loaded, unloaded, whole handling of the board over the barge of the barge carrying vessel. However, the barge loading on these materials may be played for the removal of the handle on barge carrying vessels not subject to these permit requires. Subpart G. The detailed requirements of the Class 1 explosive materials. 176-100. The permit of the Division 1112 is both the material of the Division 1112. The explosive materials may be discharged and loaded on handled or shoved over the board over the vessel. Any play for the United States for the carrier must obtain the permit with the COTP according to the procedure Title 35 CFR 12619. Exception for the permit requirements may be outsourced to the COTP. 106-102 supervise the detail, but except the providing paragraph C for the section COTP may be the assignment of the U.S. Coast Guard supervise the detail of the vessel supervise the handling and loading and unloading of the Class 1 explosive materials. The owner and agent, the character master of the person in the charge of the vessel, all person engaged with the handling, loading, and unloading stowage of the Class 1 explosive materials shall obey all orders that are given them by the officer in charge of the supervisor is very detailed. If the Class 1 explosive materials loaded and unloaded of the vessel facility operated with control of the Department of Defense of the companion officer the facility of the U.S. Coast Guard supervise the detailed however the supervise the detail of the client commanding officer of the facility shall ensure the compliance with the regulations of this part. 176-104 loading and unloading class with the Class 1 explosive materials. Package of the Class 1 explosive materials must be thrown, the drop, the roll, the drag, and slid over each of the deck. Class 1 explosive materials are stowed with the hold of them below, one over the which for the getting with the cargo handling of the half of the deck, the dividing the two hold of must have all covered circularly and play with the draft. And Class 1 explosive materials must be handled according to the following. The draft may not be raised, lowered, and stopped with the side of the application for the power of the brake. The draft may not be released, the tripping and freeing with the one side of the cargo handling equipment, the two manually with the Class 1 explosive materials. Off all draft and beams shackled and handle sliding of the hook with the may be manually free before the winching takes control. Slings may be dragged with the under the draft winching except with the topmost layer for the hold of the power removal. The only practical method when the cargo cannot be toppled. Hands and bracket the package with the draft that may not be used for sling purpose. Combination with the rope with the wire sling with sling that is formed and the open hook may not be used for the handling Class 1 explosive material. On safety hook with the hook that may be closed with wire used for the handling draft Class 1 explosive material. Wire rope is similarly included. The splice of the fittings for the handle Class 1 explosive materials may be unpainted with the cap of the bear with the permit inspection of the safe working. Condition of the mechanical fitting of the press fitting with may be not be for the splice with the efficiency of the mechanical fitting is leaf to equal to the efficiency of any splice with prepared in Title 29 CFR Part 119. 1980-1851C from the package of the Division 121112 material for the not part of the pallet type that must be loaded with unloaded vessels made using a chute with the conveyor for the mechanical hoist of the pallet skid board with the tray with the pie plate with the fit with the cargo and the side boards. Package of Division 1112 with both of the materials must be loaded with unloaded according with the cargo net within the pilot skid board with the tray with the pilot plate must be loaded no more than 5 minutes. Then minimum displacement package of course when is lifted. Cargo net must complete with the compass at the bottom of the side of the draft of the match for the cargo net must be the side of the draft of the well before end of the package of the draft from the package passing through the net when tray the even handling package of the dome package and not exceeded more than 1/3 of the vertical dimension above sideboard tray. Loading and landing must be used when the drafted down palletized Division 1112 explosive materials deposited on the deck. Landing must have the dimension of at least 3 foot wide with a 7 feet long with a 3.9 inches thick. Must be made of woven hemp that's disposable. The size will similar fiber to foam rubber than polyurethane, similar resilient material. In addition to the other requirements of the section of the package Division 1112, explosive materials must be handled in accordance with the following. Packages may not be loaded and unloaded with the hatch at the same time other cargo is being handled with any of the hold that's served by the hatch. Packages may not be loaded and unloaded same hatch by either the team 2P of the cargo equipment, with us the equipment position with the forward and the aft ends of the hatch. Packages may not be lifted over any hazard material. 4. The height of the structure of the equipment load of the deck over the passenger package is limited to the higher than the hatch combing on the bulkhead of the 3 feet with depth is greater. Unpackaged explosive devices may not be handled by lifting lugs and suspension along the tube. May not be with the loading and unloading Class 1 explosive materials compatible with Group A and B. 176-108 supervision Class 1 explosive materials during loading, unloading, handling, storage. During loading, unloading, storage, and Class 1 explosive material, the responsible personnel consists of the intent that during the entire operation, direct loading, unloading, handling, storage, Class 1 explosive material, including the preparation of the whole, the responsible person may be aware of the hazard with the step that be taken in emergency, must maintain sufficient contact with the master of the ensure the proper steps of the taken in emergency. Each person involved with the hangar handling Class 1 explosive materials on vessel should be if they on board of the responsible person of the inspect with all the cargo handling equipment to determine the safe operation condition before issuing the handle Class 1 explosive material. Storage 176-112. Applicable the provision 116E with 118E 120 with the subpart does not apply with the division 1 explosive material with the compatible with the group F. The Dutch materials may be stored together with all the Class 1 explosive materials if compatible with the group A1 that must be segregated from other hazard material in accordance with the table of 176A3B. With 176-116, the general storage condition with the Class 1 explosive material storage location Class 1 explosive materials must be stored with the cool part, but the ship must be kept as part cool as practically on the board. Class 1 explosive must be stored far away from practical the impotence of the shore for the heat of the ignition. With the exemption of Division 1 of the explosive material, Class 1 explosive materials may not be positioned close to the ship or ship side with a distance equal to the eighth over the beam of the 2.4 meters, 8 feet, which is less. Except where the consignment of the Class 1 explosive materials consider the only explosive of the article of the wearing on shoe with the bolt for the boots with the unprotected metal nails, heel with the tip of any of the kind prohibited, wetness in space for the Class 1 explosive material stowed below the deck must be drive in the event of the content of the package is in fact with the water board immediately drive must be shot from the shipper with the bay, depending on the deviance for the handling of the package must be avoided. Bowels sections must be examined with any residual previous cargo removed the Class 1 material explosive loaded in the vessel. Security all compartment of the magazines, cargo transport, unit contained Class 1 explosive material must be located, locked or suitable, secure with any other prevent over the other unauthorized explosive. Unauthorized access. Security storage of the Class 1 explosive materials must securely stow to prevent shifting of the transit when the necessary precautions must be taken to prevent cargo sliding down between the frames and the ship side separation, accommodations of the machinery space for the Class 1 explosive materials must be stowed as far as way practically in combination space with any of the machinery space may not be stowed directly above or below the space. The requirements of paragraph E2 through E4 for the section and minimum requirements in the addition to act with the requirements of Title 4 CFR Part Chapter 1. The requirements of the subpart with the least stringent of those Title 46 of the CFR Part Chapter 1, 46 Chapter 1 requirements must be satisfied with the ship, which are applicable. These must be permitted with the Class A class steel bulkhead between the accommodation space of the compartment with the contained Class 1 explosive materials. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 5 materials may not be stowed within 3 and 10 feet with the bulkhead, but the decks immediately above the below the accommodation space was stowed in the 10 feet from the line with the bulkhead projected vertically. There must be permanent Class steel with the bulkhead between the compartment that contain Class 1 explosive materials machinery space for the Class 1 explosive materials for the Division 1 explosive will not be stowed within 10 feet above the bulkhead and decks above below the machinery space. There must be showed at least 10 feet from the line with the bulkhead projected vertically. In addition, with the separation must be insulation Class H60 standard defined in Title 46 CTO 720510C1 machinery class. Space is one category category A, and left for the online Class 1 explosive materials carried on Division 1 for explosives. When Class 1 explosive materials are stowed away from the bulkheads binding the accommodation space of the machinery shop, the intervening space may be filled with the cargo and is not readily to be combustible or reserved. 176-118 electrical requirement cable that installed with the compartment of the Class 1 explosive materials so that they do not need the engine drive during the voyage of the mast being isolated with the supply with no part of the circuit within the compartment of the engine drive. The method of installation may be withdraw those views opening the switch of the circuit breaker with a disconnect with the bus bar with the main with the except for the main with the disconnecting reconnection by secure with a lock bad lock under the control of a reasonable person. Electrical equipment the cable of the cargo space for the Class 1 explosive materials stowed with which over the engine drive during the voyage for the safe operation ship the with the requirements of Subpart J with the 46 with the CFR Chapter 1. Before Class 1 explosive materials load with their bower vessels, all cables must be tested and skilled person to ensure that they are safe to determination, satisfactory grounding, installation resistant, continuing with the cable across the moor, sheathing, and armoring. All Class 1 explosive materials must be stowed within a safe position relative to the electrical equipment capable of additional physical protection must be provided with the necessary minimum of the possible damage electrical equipment of the cables, especially loading and unloading cables during the compartment that must be enclosed metal clad junction boxes of lighting equipment and cable that must be fixed for the type and that must meet the relevant inspection testing installation standard for the Title 46 Chapter 1 Subpart J. 176, 120, lighting protector. The light conductor group is in seal that must be provided in with a similar structure for the Class 1 explode with the material stove then, with the effect of the electrical bonding is bound, provided with the between the seam and the mouth of the structure with the extremity throughout the main body of the whole of the structure. The steel mast and ship it with the elbow and construction comply with this requirement. 176, 121, 124 reserved, 122, 136 reserved, 176, 137 portable magazine. Portable magazine with the shows Class 1 explode with the materials on the board vessel must meet the requirements. It must be weather tight with constructed wood, metal lined with wood at least 0.787 inch thick with a wood capacity no more than 110 cubic feet. Any inner surface must be smooth with the free with the protruding nail with the screw with the other protection. Construction with a portable magazine must be framed in nominal 5 cm, 10 cm, 2-4 inch with lumber with a sheet with a nominal of 0.787 inches thick board plywood. When construction metal with the must not be less than 126,000th of an inch. Runner and bear with a skid that must be provided to evaluate the magazine with a 3.9 inch of the deck for the pad out of the ring and bolt for the other shoe will remain with the provide the screwing of the portable magazine door hinge and covered and door cover that must have the trunk house with the deadlock equally effective with the screwing. Portable magazines being marked on the top of the foreside with the letters at least 3 inches high and as follows. Explode for the handling carefully, keep lights and fire away. Portable magazines with me, the corner of the Type 2, Type 3 magazine, Title 727 CFR Part 555, Subpart K, may be with its hose with Class 1 materials on the board vessels. Portable magazine capacity with 110 cubic feet, maybe with its hose in Class 1 explode with the materials with the conjunction of the handling stoves requirements of the COTP approves. 176 to 138 deck stowage. The reserve of the Class 1 explosives may not be stored with a horizontal distance of 20 feet from any source of the heating of the possible source of ignition with exemption of Division 1-4. Explosive materials Class 1 explosive materials may not be stowed within a horizontal distance of 39 feet with the bridge accommodation area with the life-saving compliance. Segregation 176 or 140 with the segregation of other classes of the hazard material. Class 1 explosive materials must be segregated out of the package of the hazard material in accordance with 176A3. Class 1 explosive materials must be segregated bulk solid dangerous cargo within accordance with international marine dangerous goods. Notwithstanding with the ammonia, nitrate, sodium, nitrate may be stored together with the blasting explosive, except for the contained chlorides provided with the mixed stoves and treated with the blasting explosives. The C-176-410E, 176-142 reserved, 176-144 segregation Class 1 explosive materials, except as provided in 176-145. The subchapter is over the Class 1 explosive materials within the same compartment of the magazines, other cargo transport, and subject to the provisions contained in 176-144A. Then show the table. With the Class 1 explosive material, the different compatible group that are allowed to be stored in the same compartment, magazine, cargo, transport, and storage arrangement that must be conform with the more stringent requirements of the entire load. When the mixed load with the Class 1 explosive material, the different half of the division storage arrangement that may carry with the compartment with the magazine, cargo, transport, the entire load may be treated along with the hazard division, having the greatest hazard. For example, load with the Division 1. Explosive materials mixed with the Division 1-3 with the materials of the load treated with the Division 1-1 explosive materials is defined in 123.50 with the subject of the stoves must conform with the most stringent requirements of the entire load. In some classes, the one explosive with the material storage mixture of the required with the non-metallic lining with the closed cargo of the transport Class 1 explosive material with the required with the unordinary storage must be stored in the same closed cargo transport with the closed cargo transport used in such substances. Requirements non-metallic line with a closed cargo transport unit. Other Class 1 explosive materials stored within there may not be exposed with any first metal aluminum alloy unless separated by partition. Segregation on deck. Class 1 explosive is different with compatible with the group of the carried on the deck. They must be stored with not less than 20 feet with the part with the left. They allow on the table 176-144A with the stove in the same compartment magazine with the cargo transport unit. All for the cargo, you for the transport Class 1 explosive materials, waterfront of the facility of the vessel with the explosive anchors that overfront of the vessel, the waterfront facility, and compliant with the paragraph E with the section not practical with the sandback bear of the 2 feet, the thickness of the substitute with the 20 feet with the separation. 176-145 segregation, single hull vessel, support vessel that have single cargo load with Class 1 explosive material handling division compatible with 1B, 1-2B, may be stored with the compatible with the substance compatible with the Group D with the provided net explosive weight with the compatible Group D B with the explosive does not exceed 110 pounds. Compatible with the group with the explosive materials are stowed within seal with the portable magazine with the stove with the 20 feet with the compatible with the group with the D substance. Division compatible with the group with the 1-4B with the explosive materials may be stowed within some compatible with the substance compatible with the group with the D. Provided with the Class 1 explosive material with the different compatible with the groups that are separated with either distance for the 20 feet steel partition. 146 segregation non-hazardous material, except for the requirement of the paragraph B of the section. Class 1 explosive materials may have to be segregated with the other cargo non-hazardous nature. Readily combustible material that may be stored in the same compartment that hold of the Class 1 explosive material other than compatible group S. In order to avoid contamination of explosive substance, the article with the secondary poison hazard label must be stored and separated from the food shelf, except for the other material of the soap separated clothes, cargo transport unit requirements of the away from segregation of the explosive substance. The article with secondary cause of the hazard label must be stored away from food stuff. Precautions during loading and unloading. 176, 180, 148. Artificial lighting. Electrical lights with the lights only with the artificial lighting. The permit with the loading and unloading. Class 1 explosive materials. 176, 150. Radar with except for the provided paragraph B of the section. Class 1 explosive materials other than explosive the articles of Division 1-4. Explosive any with the explosive substance are loaded, unloaded, handled, responsible for the pre-person may be sure in all the source of the electromagnetic radiation over the radio transfer made over the de-energized opening with the main switch control of the source of the tagging and the warrant. The device is not de-energized unloading and received during loading. Unloading all exclusive the articles except for the Division 1-4 with explosive no radio with the radio or transmitter may be used within 164 feet of such article with the VH, a very high frequency transmitted power output which does not exceed 25 watts with no more heart over the antenna is weighted to 7 feet with the Class 1 explosive materials. Explosive article with the insensitive electromagnetic radiation electrical source that must be stored in the safe distance of vessel radio cabinet receiving the transmitter the apparatus of the radio attendant leading in the radio station installation doing the regard of the character of the vessel with the degree of the screen off the explosive articles. 126, 154, fueling, bunkering. Class 1 explosive of the except for the compatible the group of the 7 that may not be loaded with unloaded. The fueling is and bunkering is private with the except for the prior authorization and COTB under the condition prescribed by the Office of Vehicles containing Class 1 explosive materials may not be fueled with the bunker of the hatches opening unless authorized by the COTP. 176, 156, defects of package. No leakage or broken otherwise defective package containing Class 1 explosive materials include a package that has been adversely affected with the moisture may except the shipping master or person in charge of the vessel in which there is defective packaging containing Class 1 explosive materials must seek the device for the shipping container withdrawal of the repair and no repair of the damaged defective package containing Class 1 explosive materials may be performed on the board vessel. No Class 1 explosive material, whichever the brief of the deteriorated undergo with the change of the condition, extremely the hazard to with the convenience of the holding may be removed for order of the area explosive and directed to CLTP. If any of the Class 1 explosive materials seal with the package. Class 1 explosive materials appear with the damaged package. Must be as other side of the examination repair, otherwise legally disposed of the direction by the shippers. If any of the Class 1 explosive materials seal with the relief of the package, the responsible personally and ship the appropriate emergency response undertaken in accordance with the emergency recipient response information required in 172, 602 with the chapter of the master vessel required for each individual incident involved with the swift illage of the relief of the Class 1 material to the COTP as soon as practicable. 176 to 160 protection against whether any person loading and unloading package of the Class 1 material they have the adequate measure to prevent the package of becoming wet. 176, 162, security of the responsible person must be present with all times with the hedge of the space contain of the 1 explosive materials and open no authorized person may prevent access and Class 1 explosive materials so the magazine may be scripted with against unauthorized entry with the loading has been completed with the loading and unloading stop of the package containing Class 1 explosive materials may not be opened on board ship. 176, 164, fire precaution, firefighting, match lighters, fires, and other ignition sources are prohibited on the near the vessel. Class 1 explosive materials being loaded, unloaded, by handling except for the place of the designated master COTP, higher hose in sufficient length with the reach of every part of the hazardous material with the effect of the stream of the water must lead and connect with the water ready for the immediate use. No repair work may be carried out when the cargo space containing Class 1 explosive materials other than the Division 1-4 explosive. No welding, burning, cutting, of the fire, riveting operation involved in the fire, flame, sparkle. The arc producing equipment may be conducted on board except for the emergency within the port consistent of the COTP. Each compartment, including the closed vehicle with the deck, space with the contained with the Class 1 explosive materials must be provided with a fire extinguisher for the system on each validation of the cargo compartment. Either must be protected with a fire extinguisher, and installation must be accessible with the firefighting operations. A vessel must have the two set of the breathing apparatus power operated with the fire pump with it together, and sort of the power with the sea connection must be located with the outside of the machinery space. 176, 166, transport of the classic explosive material of the passenger vehicles. Only the following Class 1 explosive must be made transport for the cargo passenger vessel. Division 1-4 explosive materials compatible with Group S. Explode the article design and lifespan and life saving the purpose of the identified 142B2 with the total net explode the mass weight with the design feet 110 pounds with the class 1 explode the material compatible with the group CDE with not total non-explosive mass weight does not exceed 22 pounds per vessel. Article compatibility group with other than requiring special storage of the total non-explosive mass does not exceed 22 pounds per vessel. Article compatible with group B with the total net explosive weight does not exceed 11 pounds. Class 1 rate explosive material may be carried on passenger vessels is identified in column 10, 172, 101 table. They must be stowed in accordance with the table 176, 166B. Notwithstanding the provision in paragraph A of the section, the combinations of this article listed in paragraph A1 through A5 of the section may be transported with the same passenger vessel provided total net explosive weight with the combination of the class 1 explosive materials made combined. Carriage does not exceed the smallest quantity of the specified any with the substance of the articles combination. Cargo transport with the class 1 explosive materials and vehicle to spaces. The transport vehicle with the cargo must be properly secured with the transport vehicle. You with the carriage of the class 1 explosive materials must be securely served with the 176, 172, A2 vehicles used with the transport class 1 explosive materials must conform with the requirements of 177, 834, 83, 835 subchapter class 1 explosive materials require that special storage must be transported and transported vehicle approved with the purpose of the associated ministry of the class 1 material incompatible with the group G and H of may be carried within sealed portable magazine trade with the class transport vehicle may be used with the magazine transport vehicle. The other type may be used with the transport class 1 explosive materials which require ordinary stowage. Class 1 explosive materials different compatibility groups may not be stowed within the same vehicle except with the lab in 176 144 subchapter. Vehicles containing different class 1 explosive materials require that no segregation each other except for those the materials must be carried together on provision 176 144 subchapter and all other instances of the vehicles must be separated with the one another. All transport vehicles used with the transport class 1 explosive materials have been lashing arrangements for securing the vehicle and unship the preventing of the moving of the vehicle to the ring during the sea passage where the portable negatively enclosed freight container carried out in the chassis with the twist of the lack of the other suitable securing arrangement must be provided with the made secure. 176, 170 transportation class 1 explosive material with the freight containers class 1 explosive materials stowed with the freight container with the freight container for the purpose of the subpart may be regarded with the closed transport unit class 1 magazine not separable compartment of the freight containers loaded with the class 1 explosive materials. The close of the division 1-4 most be stowed over the outermost row of the containers C reserved. Class 1 explosive material is different with the compatible group that may not be stowed with the same freight with the container except with the load allowed in 176 144. Subpart other vessel other especially fitted container ship the freight with the container with the class 1 explosive materials must be stowed only the lowest of the freight container that became with a different class 1 explosive material with the required no segregation each of the provision 176 144 for the subpart may be allowed with the class 1 explosive material to be carried out with the same compartment. All other instances of the containers must be separated from one another according to 176 83F of this chapter. Freight containers carrying class 1 explosive materials may not be handled with on board vessel before forklift of the trucks may be approved with the CLTP does not preclude the use of forward front loading the truck with the use of the side frame lifting equipment. 176, 172 is structural serviceability of the freight container and the vehicle carrying class 1 explosive materials on the ship. Subdivision 1-4 material of the freight with the container may not be offered with the carriage of the class 1 explosive materials on the left of the container. Structural serviceability of the CSC or International Conventional Safety Container with approval of the plate were verified with a detailed visual examination followed. Before the freight container of the transport vehicle with the packing class 1 explosive materials must be visually examined by a shipper to ensure that the structural serviceability of the free with any residual previous cargo with the interior wall floors of the free protrusion. Structural serviceability may be the freight container on the vehicle with the name of the major defect with the structural component, the size of the top of the bottom, the side rail, the top of the bottom, end rail of the door, so with the head of the floor, cross of the members, the corner, probe of the corner, fitting of the freight container. Major defects include dent bends and structural member to greater than 75 of the depth, regardless of the length of the crack and break of the structural member to more than one plate piece. Splice of the improper splice of which with the lap and straight with the top of the bottom of the end of the rails or head, more than two splice of the end within the top of the bottom side rail. The splice of the door shell, or corner probe of the door hinge of the hub, where the other sees and twisted and broken, missing other impaired. The gas seal do not seal for freight containers any distortion overall configuration great enough to prevent proper alignment of the handling equipment, mounting and securing chassis with the vehicle and insulation in the ship cells, and for the deterioration of the component of the freight container vehicle, regardless of the material of the construction and rusted out metal and sideways, just integrated in fiberglass. Is prohibited no more with no however including oxidation, slight dent of scratch of the other damage of the design with the serviceability of the weather tight integrity with the use of the not prohibited. As used in paragraph 8 of the section is why for the repair freight container main structural member of the replacement material except for the complete with the replacement of the member shipment of the class 1 explosive material except for the division 1-4 explosives must be accompanied in statement that would appear with the shipping container with the certified with the freight container of the vehicle structural service for the design paragraph 82 of this section. 176, 174, transport class 1 explosive materials and shipboard barge with the barge of them may be built with the shipboard barge and rate of the containers may be deep in the design with the end barge of the shipboards may be with the carrier with all types of class 1 material with wind carrying the class 1 explosive materials requiring special stoves with following requirements apply. Class 1 explosive materials compatible with group G and H but must be stowed in the freight containers. Class 1 explosive material with the group of the K and L must be stowed and sealed. Magazine class 1 explosive materials are different compatible groups may not be stowed in the same ship-borne barge unless under 176, 144 B with the ship part they're authorized to be stowed in the same compartment. Handling class 1 explosive materials in port 176, 176 signals. Class 1 explosive materials being loaded and handled and unloaded with the vessel. The vessel must exhibit the following signals. By day and the flag B with the broad with the international code signal by night all around fixed red light. 176, 178, morning lines. All lines of the morning vessel must be sufficient strength with the type of the number of the side of the vessel and local condition. Vessel moored by the anchor of the port of the area total, whereas adequate side of the length of the proper, secure with the mooring beds of the Boeing, steady, stern, ready for the immediate use of the towing eyes path for the outboard cap with the water level. Mooring agreements with the side of the vessel can be released quickly in emergency. 178, 6, 180, watch keeping whenever the class 1 explosive materials on board a vessel in port. Therefore, insufficient crew on the board maintaining the proper watch at the end of the operator propulsion firefighting equipment in case of the emergency. 176, 182, the condition of the handling on the board ship. Weather condition class 1 explosive materials may not be handled with weather condition, which may be severely increase the hazard presented in class 1 explosive materials during electrical storms. Cargo must be halted in all hatches with the container of class 1 explosive materials must be closed. Darkness class 1 explosive materials may not be handled at the board of the vessel during hours and unless the proper assistance have been attained with the CLTP. Lighting. There are class 1 explosive materials handled with the preparation are being made with the handle. Class 1 explosive materials being eliminated with lighting with sufficient safely perform the handling operation. Protect the equipment in sufficient quantity for the operator with the protection. The equipment must provide with the personnel involved with the handling class 1 explosive materials. Protect the equipment must provide adequate protection against have the specified class 1 explosive materials to handle with an intoxicated person. No person under the influence of alcohol or drugs examine the person with judgment behavior is impaired with the participating in any operation involved with the handling class 1 explosive material with the master of the vessel, keeping any such person clear of the any areas of class 1 explosive materials are being handled. Smoking is prohibited with the vessel and class 1 explosive expenditure with being handled versus everything except for the designated the master of the vessel. The conspicuous with notice of prohibiting the vessel the clearly of the visible location class 1 explosive materials handled stowed. All hatches and cargo ports with the entering opening within the compartment with which class 1 explosive material stowed must be kept closed except for the during unloading compartment. The after loading and hatches must be surely closed. 176, 184, class 1 explosive material compatible group L. With the class 1 explosive material compatible group L must be maintained, handled, and poured air with a special permission over the subject of the name with special precaution with the COTP. 176, 190, Department of Vessel loading of the class 1 explosive materials complete with the vessel and the department with the port area is solely responsible. 176, 192, cargo handling equipment freight containers carrying the class 1 explosive materials. As exempt in an emergency, the only the cargo handling habit is specifically designed with the modified handling of the freight with the container may be loaded, unloading, handling the freight container the name of the division 112. Material that gross weight with the freight with the container contained with the class 1 explosive materials may not exceed the safe working load with the cargo handling equipment which is handled. The 176, 194 stored with the class 1 explosive materials magazine vessel with the general requirements of the section apple with the magazine vessel addition with any other requirements of the subchapter. The type of the vessel is authorized single deck of the vessel without the help on the deck. The only type of the vessel that may be the magazine vessel. The magazine vessel may move with the what class 1 explosive materials are on board. Location of the explosive. Vision 1112 explosive materials except for the 5,000 pounds stowed within the air. Magazine vessel is stowed below the deck. No class of the explosive material may be stowed on the deck unless the vessel is fitted with the deck house, having the storage area for the which may be the requirements for this part of the storage class 1 explosive material for the detonators similarly boosted the detonators division 11 explosive may not be stored with the same magazine vessel as division 111213 materials. Classic explosive material stores in space. The compartment of the magazine vessel is over to the class 1 explosive materials must be completely sealed with wood as the provide some smooth interior surface of the teeth of the metal station, but the compartment must be blocked within the same manner. The overhead ceiling is not required to overdeck with the weight of the tight. With all nail bolt headed with the console with the explosive metal must be covered with the wood. Initiating explosive detonators, boosters, and detonators, no explosive substance division 11 compatible with the group A must be stored in the same compartment with any other class of explosive materials when they are explosive the substance of the division 1112 with the same negative detonators simply boosters with the detonators and be stowed with at least 26 feet on the bulkhead from the boundary compartment containing any of the class 1 materials, class 1 explosive materials. Dry storage please the magazine vessel. The dry storage is capable of being neither the port space over the whatsoever the cover dam with at least 24 inches for the favor between the storage kept space in the AJ for the compartment containing the class 1 explosive material for the coffer dam with must be controlled with wood sail formed in two athwart ships of the bulkhead with extending with the skin vessel over the deck with the coffer dam the shim of the weather deck of the water tight in the hatch must be fitted with the deck of the provided extra the coffer dam. Lighting no spark at the battery with the powered with the self-contained electrical lanterns with no spark added the hand flashlights or other means with the artificial light. Living quarters must be fitted inside of the non-combustible material. Approved with the command with the youth Coast Guard with the bracket, the ship with the light lamps, but the only light fixture they authorized to be living quarters. They installed with the youth the handy with the cooking must be carefully fastened, may not be mounted with a close within 5.9 inches of the deck inside of the house. Smoke pipe with the stove which passes through the roof of the house must be kept at least 3 inches away from the woodwork. Each with the smoke pipe protected with the layer of the non-combustible material with approval of the commandment that use Coast Guard airspace with at least 1 inch of the metal collar with at least 59,000 inch sheet with the skirt only with weather of the roof of the maybe the no opening with any living quarters, any storage compartment, storage of other hazardous material. The magazine vessel with class 1 with materials on board may not be used to storage any of the hazardous material. Magazine vessels store with the hazardous material may store on the board. Magazine vessels must comply with the requirements of Title 46, Part 1747. Matches, safety matches requirement of prepared and with ignition. Only type of the matches authorized. Possess the use of the board of magazine vessel with the must keep in the metal box that can be with the metal cup of the stored and custodian level of quarters. The firearm, ammunition, and other cargo that are not permitted with the board of vessels. Fire extinguisher equipment of the class 1 explosive material may be loaded and so with the unload with the handle with the magazine vessel for the 4 fire extinguisher the mate with the requirements of type A with the side 2, type B, side 3, type 46 part 95, subpart 9550, near accessible magazines. Supervision of magazine vessel containing class 1 explosive material that consistently attend with the custodian employed with the purpose of the vessel owner. Unauthorized prep of the magazine vessel, custodian magazine vessel should be prevent unauthorized person with a combing on the board unless it is necessary to abate the hazard of the human life with substantial hazard of the property. Repacking or class 1 explosive materials on board. No class 1 explosive materials repacked on the board. Marine vessel broken, damaged packages may be handled according to the requirements of 176. 156 package requiring an emergency response. Was handled in accordance with the emergency response information required 176 subchapter. Workboat. Each magazine vessel with the equipped with the workboat life preserver only improve with the personal flotation device with the available to each of the person employed with magazine vessel. Fenders. Each magazine vessel may be fitted with a standardization number the size prevent any of the vessel tying alongside with the coming of the contact with the hull. Subpart H. Detailed requirements of Class 2 compressed gas material.